Nancy Kimball Cobblestone House. My name is Liz Marston. I'm the museum director at the Elton History Museum. And today is Cobblestone Celebration Day 2020. We're going to be taking a little tour through our Cobblestone House, but I wanted to point out that this is a partnership between the Elton History Museum and the City of Elton. We've been working on this for several years, and we wanted to work on this because this house is one of the oldest houses in Elton, built in 1846. So it's significant in that way, but it's also significant because of its unique construction style of cobblestone, and it was the family home of one of Elton's founding families, the Kimballs. So we're going to go on inside. It is a construction site, so I want to warn you about that. And we're going to go in and see what we've done this year, all the progress that we made in 2020. Okay, so come on in. Now during this COVID year, we're going to wear our masks once we're inside. Come on this way, up here. Hello.
Well, hello. How nice to see you. I'm Nancy Kimball. Welcome to my home.
Hello, Mrs. Kimball.
It's so nice to have company. You know, I don't get much company these days, so it's nice to see you.
Well, we have our friends here on our camera.
Oh my goodness. Wonderful. Will you please come in, or do you want to talk to me outside?
No, please, I'll come in.
come
I'm going to
in.
put my mask on.
Please do that. I understand there's something going around, so
Yes, there is.
we need to come in, come in. You know, I am so grateful that this home, my special home, has been preserved as it has. It was built for me, you know, by my two sons, and William and Samuel, and I'm so grateful that they built it for me, and I have so many wonderful memories here. And I understand there will be even more memories that will be created from this home.
Yes, we hope so.
Yes, so thank you for coming and seeing this wonderful home.
Thank you, Mrs. Kimball.
You are welcome.
All right, come on over here, and we're going to introduce you to Al Walters. You want to introduce yourself?
I will. My name is Al Walters, and I'm the president of the Elton History Museum. And we're very grateful you're on camera with us today. We're very grateful that Nancy Kimball has opened her house up to share with us today. This really repeats something we've done every year towards the end of the construction season. We always want to invite the people, neighborhood and interested folks to come in and see the house and see the progress we've made over the prior year. Of course, that wasn't in the cards to do it live this year, so naturally we're going to do it video, as of course we all do these things this way virtually. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our subcommittee from our board of directors, who really is managing the construction. And to my right is George Rowe, past president of the museum. To his right is Bill Briscoe, another past president of the museum. And further right is Dennis Roxworthy, who helps us very much on construction things. And all the way over is Kristen Sundquist, who is both a board member and a City of Elgin employee, and her specialty is historic preservation, so she's very critical to this operation. And I think you met Liz Marston outside already. Liz is our museum director, and of course she keeps us all on the right track too. So what we're going to do in the next few minutes is walk you in and around and through the house so you can see what we've done thus far today. But before we do that, we have a special little presentation that we want to bring on camera. And off to my left is Jackie Marcus. A little brain freeze there. Jackie Marcus is a friend of the museum for sure, but today she's a member of the Signal Hill Daughters of the American Revolution, DAR. And Jackie, fill us in.
Thank you, Al. National Society Daughters of the American Revolution has three main areas of concentration. One of those is historic preservation. Since there is no DAR chapter in Elgin, the chapter in Barrington has taken great interest in the restoration of the Nancy Kimball Cobblestone House. We've made donations to the restoration process in the past. Our main interest is because Mrs. Kimball Nancy Currier Kimball, was the daughter of an American Revolutionary War patriot from New Hampshire. So she is a real daughter to us, and we are pleased on behalf of the entire chapter to provide you with yet another donation toward the work you're being done at the Cobblestone House.
Well, thank you very much, Jackie, and thank you very much to the DAR. This donation gets us off and running for next year's work. We'd like to think we have one more year's work to bring this job to an end, and it's great to have our first donation of 2021. It's important to point out, I think, at this point, that this house, this restoration, all this work over these last 5 years has been privately financed through donations and through grants that the museum has gone out to acquire. Very little city money has ever been used to do this, although the city, of course, will be our landlord when we're all done. This house, when it's done, will be an adjunct to the museum, and we will host school programs here and tours and things of that nature. So again, thanks to Jackie. We're still welcoming donations, and you can go right to the museum website and you'll see a donate button and help us bring this thing across the finish line. I think right now I'm going to turn it over to George Rowe, and you're going to talk about the front porch.
Well, thank you very much, Al. So why don't we go out through the front door here, our new beautiful front door, and Rudy will help me situate myself so that we can talk to the people who made this possible. Rudy, am I good here?
Yes.
So the people we have here are Matt Martin, the architect, young architect who's interested in historic preservation, and Scott Savell, carpenter contractor, who also does a lot of work on historic homes in the Elton area. And so the process of building a new front porch began early this year. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, we started looking into the design of the porch and then doing drawings for the porch over the spring. We had a historical photo that we could go off of that showed the porch roughly this size and going down to the west here. The previous porch that was here before was much larger and went down to the east, so we brought back the original proportions and size. We also, it worked out really well to go down to the west because the hill slopes up, so that made it a lot easier to get the proper heights and everything we needed for this to be a safe and easy, accessible porch.
In addition to doing all the different bits and pieces of the porch itself, you also had to plan out all the concrete work and posts below the porch. So that was as difficult as laying this out itself.
Yes, there was a lot of pre-planning with the porch even before we got Scott involved, and then that was a big effort also.
And so Scott was involved with this process almost from the beginning. So could you talk a little bit about what you had to do to make this happen, Scott?
Well, you know, Matt had great plans. We stuck to the plans. Really, there was nothing to do that was necessarily hard, but there were a few little challenges, details. One of the things is that how do you bolt the deck to a cobblestone house? Nobody seems to know that. We ended up getting in touch with a firm that makes a injectable epoxy mortar, and we used that. And we had good success with it. It turned out pretty well. But that was one of the unknowns that we had to kind of jump the hurdle on. The other thing is how do you take a flat, square wood porch and make it look good against a bumpy, irregular cobblestone house? And you'll see some of the cuts down here where the floor meets the cobblestone structure, or on the stairs, or the skirting. All of those have to be scribed to fit that uneven surface. And sometimes you get it on the first try, sometimes you get it on the 8th try. So you just kind of have to work those details out.
And so Scott was, I was able to watch him work every day, and he is definitely detail oriented. And scribing these lines, every detail in building this in building this porch was just so well taken care of. A lot of this lumber is locally available, but when you go looking for a newel post like this, where do you go, Scott?
Well, we used a firm out of Fargo, North Dakota called Mr. Spindle, and we've used them many times on our porch projects in the past, and they did an outstanding job. We had Kristen Sundquist, who is a historic preservation planner in the city of Elton. She was able to locate a newel post that looked something like what was in the historic photo of this porch.
And so this is important doing a historic house like this, is that all of the planners go back to find keys and clues from other old houses.
Correct. And this was used as the model for the newel posts that were custom made out in North Dakota.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you gentlemen for all your work and for being here today. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I go back inside?
If you want to see more pictures, you can go on my Facebook page, All Around Home Improvements.
And you, all around home improvements, more pictures of the cobblestone.
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. So, Rudy, you're going to stick with me, and I am going to try and find the city preservation planner, Kristen Sundquist, who is also a board member of the Elton Area Historical Society. So, Kristen, it's all yours.
Great, thank you so much, sir. So my next guest that we have is Dan Miller, and he did an amazing job doing a lot of the woodwork in this home. So right here is an original splayed window well, but some of the windows in the cobblestone didn't have them. So Dan recreated those. So let's take a quick look at your work, Dan.
First off, this project is literally my pleasure. We have three original windows. The contractor took them out as a unit and set them aside. We were so lucky that he did that. John Crow chemically stripped them, did a great job of chemically stripping. They had like 20 coats of paint on them. So they had these recessed panels and splayed. Now I think the whole house had the splayed windows. The architect disagreed with me on that, so he framed the others so they couldn't be splayed. Now the three upstairs windows, I took away the framing and splayed those windows just like this. So the windows on the south side are splayed. We had one original casing, but so many times, so many people over the years would take these extra boards off to modernize their house. So somebody took these boards off, but we had wonderful paint marks on that original casing. So we had a paint mark for two boards like that. Pat researched, my wife, researched it extensively. We spent a month talking about it, looking at examples, and we came up with these two moldings that would leave the same mark as the original casings. I exactly duplicated this recessed panel for 14 windows in the old portion of the house. We had 14 windows, 3 original. I made the exterior basement doors and 2 closet doors. I trimmed them out. There are 5 doors and 14 windows and the baseboard that I replaced. Pat researched extensively, and we struggled over the design of the baseboard.
Yeah, let's take a look at what we did over here.
Here you'll see that the windows are not splayed. They're exactly the same panels, they're just not splayed. So we visited the cobblestone, the Kimball Cobblestone right up the street through 28 Mountain to look for an example. We looked at one in Rockford. We looked at the Gifford Cobblestone on Prairie, Gifford's home. And it had this exact baseboard in the foyer. So we duplicated the Gifford Cobblestone baseboard exactly for this house. There's like 200 feet of that baseboard and cap in this house. We researched it extensively. Now, the addition has different pattern in the windows. That addition was made probably in the 20s. So we had to pick a casing and a window hood that would meet the 20s, not this. This is 1846. So we researched that. We got different casings for that. I trimmed out 6 windows and 2 doors and added the baseboard in the addition, all different than this. You want to show that the addition was added on, that it's different, so all those patterns are different. Again, literally my pleasure.
Great, thank you so much, Dan. And just one more question. Just approximately, how many hours did you spend here?
I have no idea. I spent every day, all day, every spare moment for 3 or 4 months. This is what I enjoy. I don't keep track of hours. It'd be too depressing to keep track of the hours. That's what I enjoy.
Thank you so much, Dan, for all your hard work
Literally
and
my pleasure.
for volunteering. So let's move it to Dennis Roxworthy, and he's going to introduce our next guest.
Okay. Okay, Dave, come over here. All right, I'm on the board, museum, and I'm big on hardwood floors. Dave Olson here is an expert. And when I was rehabbing homes, or restoring them, Dave did all my work. And when we sold the house, people go, wow, so that's why this gentleman got this job. So I'm going to introduce Dave.
Thank you, Dennis. You're welcome. I am Dave Wilson. I did the hardwood floors here. This is 3 1/4 inch maple flooring installed. The house was, a little off, but we made it look really nice. Just a polyurethane finish on it. It took about 2 weeks. Really fun job to do. I'm glad I was able to come in and help Dennis out in the Historical Society. Really good job for me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anybody's interested, just get a hold of Dennis and the rest of the folks here, and we'll get you done.
Okay. Next, I'd like to introduce Al Waters, our president.
Alrighty, I'm back, and I'm going to take you upstairs to look at a couple of the rooms up there, and we'll talk to one of our painters. It turns out that I'm a retired paint salesman, so they gave me the job of supervising the painting. Now that doesn't mean I'm a good painter, it just means I know how to find people who are good painters. And one of those people is Rebecca Markle. And we're going to step into the back upstairs room here. This would have been a bedroom at one point. It's now going to be probably office space or storage. This is Rebecca Markle. She's a past board member for the History Museum. She's extensively renovated her own home up on the north end and did a lot of work, her and her husband themselves. Rebecca is one of those strange people that derives satisfaction and fun from painting.
That's correct.
And the more difficult, the better, right, Rebecca?
Well, yeah, it's more interesting than just walls.
So talk to us about what you did here.
Well, I painted all the trim, including the splayed windows, and these are the windows that are not splayed, as you can see, because they're on the north side. All the baseboards, and it was done not all at the same time, because I had to follow behind Dan as he installed it all. I did all the doors up and down. Not quite done in the extension yet, but all the woodwork up here and the doors I painted, and we used Benjamin Moore paint.
Of course we did. And you did some exterior painting as well, right, Rebecca?
Oh yeah, a while ago I helped with the windows on the outside, and I did some of the clappers a little bit under Chris's supervision.
So if people want to hire you, no. Rebecca's a volunteer. If you are a reader of the Cracker Barrel, our newsletter 6 times a year, Rebecca is our editor, and she puts it together every year. So
Yes.
Every month, every other month.
Every other month.
She's a very talented person in many respects. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you very much, it's been fun.
You want to walk in here, take a peek? All right. It was a big day in the volunteer's life when we got a working bathroom. This is the one up on the 2nd floor, and this meant that we didn't have to go somewhere else to find facilities. So this has been up and running for a little while. There will be a bathroom on the 1st floor that will be completed very shortly. And why don't we step foot into the front upstairs room, Rudy, if we can. This was also some of Rebecca's work up here. And the feature here to look at is, more than anything else, is this is the remnants of the old fireplace chimney that's here. And this was exposed this way when we got the house, and we could have drywalled that up and hidden it, but we thought it was kind of fun to show the chimney. We do not have working fireplaces in this house. We're blessed with central forced air heat, but it was fun to have this here to show. This is one of my favorite rooms in the house because of the south exposure. The light really flows into this house, into this room. I think we're ready to go back downstairs. Okay. All right, we're back in what was probably the dining room at one time in this house. This will be a little mini conference room, or we will have small programs in this room when we're done. On the table is just some of our old historic paperwork that we have here for visitors to look at. But with me is our other painter. This job is big enough we had to have Chris Shreve, a professional painter, help out Rebecca. Chris was able to do some of the high work and the hard work. Chris worked inside and out, right, Chris?
Yes, I did. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed doing it very much.
32-foot ladder sometimes?
Sometimes on the peaks and the highs, you had to do the dormer.
Tell us about reaching that dormer. A little scary?
It was, because it was awkward, and the way the windows opened didn't quite go the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. We got it done.
I consider Chris to be kind of a triple threat for the museum. He's helped us with exterior painting. In fact, you did most of it. Rebecca did some of the windows with you. You did most exterior painting. Chris did all the painting here on the first floor. Rebecca worked on the second floor. Rebecca, of course, did the trim work. And Chris's third talent, inside, outside, and floors. Not to paint them so much, but in our case, we discovered we had some ceramic tile floors that needed to be laid in the bathrooms, and Chris said, I can do that.
And yeah, we knocked them in. They came out great. It looks good, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, let's go take a look.
Okay. These are the floors. And,
it's a period tile that works out for us. And you can see that Dan has been installing the baseboard here. He's partially done. Next step up is to put some beadboard and a rail in here. So we're never quite done. There's always something else to do. I think as we circle around back here, I guess just so everybody gets to see every room, this will be our little kitchenette. And of course, that's the donations we're collecting now will go to getting some counters and a refrigerator and a microwave and a sink and cabinetry in here. That'll be one of the next things we have to do. And really, if you can take a look outside that window, one of our other big expenditures that we'll have to face this coming year is this needs to have a porch outside. And this is a second floor door, so when we go out, there's going to be quite a drop if we don't get a porch in there. And ultimately, there will be a handicapped lift out there that's built into the porch that will make this first floor of the house handicap accessible. So what do we have left to do in the house? We've got some trim to do outside, which we require Dan to do more carpentry and Chris to do more painting. The deck is ahead of us. If you looked when we were going up the stairs, that's just a construction staircase going up the second floor. That'll have to be installed. The kitchen outfitted. And then there's all the landscaping and the parking and the stuff that we have to do outside as well. So we have our hands full for next year. But we are hopeful that we can bring this to conclusion and we'll have a really big celebration this time next year. That's our plan. I'd like to step back into the main display room here. And I'd just like to reintroduce former President Bill Briska, current treasurer. And we're back with Nancy Kimball. We've so enjoyed looking at your house, Nancy.
Well, I'm so glad you came. I'm enjoying it myself.
I think it's a great honor just to be in the same
building with you.
Well, thank you, young man.
Yeah, this place has come a long way in the last year. We've done the electrical installation, we've done the insulation, we've done the drywall. As you heard, we did the floors and the other trim. This was really kind of still pretty skeletal a year ago. But it probably looks a lot different than when you were here.
It certainly does. It certainly does. But I am so impressed that this home that was built almost 175 years ago is still standing, and it looks wonderful. It's only improved.
Right, how do you like the fact that we left these stone walls closed?
I love that. I love that. For me, that was something I saw every day, but not everyone this day and age would recognize those as walls. So I'm so glad that that was preserved.
Yeah, we wanted to show people how the building was built with stones laid up, and they're about 16 inches thick. So there's a pretty good little effort on the part of the people.
I would say lots of labor, a labor of love, thanks to my son.
Have you had a chance to go downstairs yet?
No, I have not.
Well, let's go down. There's some pretty interesting things down there as well.
I would love to see the
Be
downstairs.
careful because we're still in construction mode.
All right.
I think it's really neat how our carpenter left this beam here.
Oh, certainly it is. And that is all hand hewn, right?
That's right, sure looks like it. And look at these pegs in there that hold it together.
Oh my goodness.
So that's how they did it back in the old days,
In my
in your
day.
day.
Yes.
Yes.
Built to last, that's for sure.
And it has.
Oh my goodness. What do we have here?
Well, I think
Oh,
one of my favorite parts of this whole building in terms of the restoration is being able to save this wall, which was part of the old basement wall.
yeah.
And having it tuck pointed so that it sticks together and holds up. And so this was quite a treat. You know, when we inherited this building or began construction, the city already owned it, but it had been pretty extensively gutted. There wasn't much left in here to save, but this was one of the really great features that was still here.
You know, every one of these cobblestones has a story to tell. Can you imagine if they could talk?
Well, I know that they are most likely pried out of the ground that was right in the backyard here.
In the backyard.
Or nearby,
Uh-huh.
because there's so much of this stuff laying around in the earth here around this house. In
Even now.
Yeah. Well, take a quick look. How's the basement look compared to what it did in your days?
Well, for some reason, either I have shrunk or the basement has gotten taller.
It
looks larger than it was.
It is larger and it is
Oh, good.
taller.
It's not me. Okay.
Right. In the old days, your day, the
Uh-huh.
basement really was right about here. That was the floor level.
Oh.
And the
well,
stones were set just a few inches below where the floor was.
all right.
So we dug out this distance here, probably about almost 2 feet if you counted going down below there, so that we could put in a radiant heat system.
A what?
Radiant heat. It's hot water running in little pipes underneath the floor here.
Excuse me. You have water running through pipes in the floor. Well, how do you access that water for drinking and cooking?
You don't. It's its own contained system. And our drinking water and cooking water is separate. So we heat the water, and I'll show you that in
Alright.
the other room, and pump it underneath the floor. And that allows the floor to stay warm in the winter,
Oh my goodness.
and that heat then helps heat the building.
Oh my goodness. Boy, I certainly wish we had had that in my day.
Yeah, what did you use for heating?
Well, we just had some stoves, then we used wood first to heat, and then coal a little later on.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how drafty you can imagine that would be, because it was warm by the stove, but you walk too far away and you got a little chilly.
Right, plus the maintenance of feeding the fire all the time.
Yes.
Cleaning out the ashes, the house has to cool down so you can clean the ashes out.
And you know, I lived here as a widow, so I had to do that, or my daughter who was with me for some time, we had to do all of that work.
Well, you should come back and live here now. We have the
Well,
convenience of doing it automatically.
I just think I might.
So, well, we saved a few things. There wasn't much, as I said. One of the things we saved was this beam,
Oh,
which was on the second floor and held the whole second floor structure together.
okay.
And
Alright.
we saved, I'll show you a few other things we saved in a few minutes. And we're gonna do something with this beam. We don't exactly know yet.
What kind of wood can you remind me?
Probably oak.
I don't remember.
Oak, for sure, on a beam like that,
Uh-huh.
being real strong. And we have another little piece of a beam here, just an end drop off that we took to make for the steps. You can see the size of that. And you see these axe marks
Yes,
from when it was cut out of the tree?
yes. Oh, my goodness.
Right. And we'll show you the remainder of that beam in just a minute. It's still in place. But I wanted to show you something else we found in the basement underneath the floor.
Yes.
And that was logs that were set down right into the earth. This is a piece of one of those logs. It was set down right into the earth, and then the floorboards were laid over it. Bare dirt down below. And so these logs, and we pulled several of them out of here, we gave them to our mason, John Crow, who's a kind of an old-time guy, and asked him to make these benches, which are in period with the time that you lived here.
I recognize that style.
So, you think it's very comfortable?
Well, let me try it.
I'll join you.
Join me, young man.
Whoa,
Very
not too bad.
comfortable.
Right, height and everything.
Yes, it is. This would be a good place to sit and chat and
Sit and warm up by the fire.
warm up.
Yeah,
Definitely,
that's right.
most definitely. Very nice. I'm so glad this is here.
Yeah, and this is another little souvenir from the original house. As they say, not many. The other one I wanted to tell you about was this beam, of which you just saw the drop-off piece over there. That's called a summer beam, and it was the main structural beam that went from wall to wall. And this beam, as you can see, the axe marks on it. And it's designed so that the floor joists sit into little pockets. Those are what those little mortises, they're called, are in up there. And down through the years, that beam had sagged down, so we had to lift it back up,
Oh, my.
bend it back into shape, and give it a little extra reinforcement, which you see by these pole up right up here.
Yes, I don't remember these
No,
poles.
no,
That's something new.
we had to do that, and in order to also help hold the whole house together, we had to put these big steel beams in here.
Now, I wonder if those steel beams will last as long as the beams from 1847. Do you think they will?
I am sure they will.
Oh, good.
I am sure they will.
All right.
Probably even longer.
Oh,
Let's hope so, at any rate. So we had those put in, and as I say, we dug down the basement a little bit so we had more headroom. And we're gonna use this space as kind of like for workshop kind of space for the neighborhood to teach skills on how to maintain your house.
oh, wonderful.
We'll have some workbenches and other things down here, tools for that. And that'll be one of the uses of it. And of course, we could do other kind of dirtier, sloppier projects like painting and things that you might do with children that you don't want to have spilled all over the
Children
floor.
do tend to be messy.
They
This
do.
would be a good place for them.
This is a good place indeed for them,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that it will be all ages using this home.
Right. So in the last year as well, we had our little furnaces get going. We actually have two heating systems here. I'll show you the
I
other.
don't see the stove.
No, it's not a wood stove. It's something similar. And
Oh, my.
we're still in construction mode here, so there is a lot of materials and tools sort of piled up at the moment.
These are amazing.
These?
These tools, much less, yes.
Oh, it's certainly
There's
better
a
than
cord
doing
to
it
it.
by a hand axe. Well, we have
A little faster.
we have our furnace, which heats the upper two floors. That's the equivalent of your old stove.
And where do you put the wood?
We don't put wood in. We have natural gas that comes in that burns.
Oh.
Remember the gas plants? This is in the late 19th century that the city put in for the street lights.
I do remember that.
Okay, well, this is
Yes.
the same idea, different variation. And these gas lines, instead of lighting the street lights, they come into the house and they have their own fire, and that heats the
Oh.
upper two floors.
And
How efficient.
how efficient it
Yes.
is indeed, yes. So, and this is our boiler system that heats the floor below us. All that was put in the last couple of years, but only really activated this last winter. So we're very glad to have the house all nice and snug and tidy.
Keep it warm this winter. And a sink.
A sink indeed.
Is the cooking done down here? Or?
No, there'll be maybe a little bit of cooking done upstairs, but not down here. No, that's just so you can wash up and take care of some of your dirtier work. So.
Well, I am so glad to see. It seems as if every inch of this place is being put to good use.
That's right. There wasn't, there wasn't that much space here, so we did what we could to make use of it for our new purpose in life.
Yes.
So.
Well, there was plenty of room for me and for my daughter, but if you're going to have groups, I can see what you're saying.
Yes, and do you know the story of how this place was turned into little apartments?
No, I don't.
Well, over the time.
Do I want to hear this story?
Well, it's a nasty little story, but over time, the house was divided up into 4 little apartments.
4.
And then later, 1 or 2 more were added. And so it was quite crowded.
Oh my goodness, yes. It was perfect for me, but I can't imagine.
I'm putting my jacket on because I'm going to be going in a minute, but let's go outside. I want to show you something out there.
All right.
One of the reasons this has taken us so many years to get this far is there was a lot of structural problems in this house that we had to fix. Over time, the back wall was kind of tilting out.
Oh.
And somebody had made a patch maybe 50 or 60 or 70 years ago on that, but not very well, so we had to come back and do that. Anyway, let's step outside.
All right.
And take a look at the wall from the outside.
Well, I do have to say though, even though it was losing some of its strength, we all do, you know. We all do. Yeah. Oh, and here's the backyard.
What's left of it, yes. So we, had to tear down the entire wall and then have it rebuilt and then put back to make it look like it did. The work of our mason and our carpentry crews.
Looks wonderful.
Yes, pretty good job. So I really want to say before I have to go how grateful we are to our many donors that made this possible. And just in this last year, our biggest donors have been, we had a grant from the King County Riverboat Fund and the neighborhood improvement grant from the neighborhood Elton Community Network, which is a neighborhood group, and from the Grand Victoria Foundation and Landmarks Illinois. They all combined for a little grant money this year. And we had some very generous big donors. Those were Rudy and Lillian Dalton, and Marge Krieger was another one, and Bill Jones and his family was another one. And there might be some more, I might think of the big ones, but we had over 60 individuals, people that donated smaller amounts, up from a few dollars, $20 up to several $100. And we're very grateful for that.
You know, that just pleases me to know that it was a collaborative effort, and it was an effort from community, from neighbors, from the whole community, from even the state, that this home would be preserved so it can be used in the future. That is so wonderful that everyone contributed.
Well, thank you. The home was in rough shape, but we thought this property had better use than just being a home. We thought it could serve the neighborhood. And so our motto has been to save the cobblestone and build the neighborhood.
Oh, how wonderful. How wonderful. And I certainly hope that's what will happen, and I'm sure it will.
Well, that's our plan with the programming.
And thanks to everyone who is helping to make this happen.
Yes, and when we finish the outside here with the parking lot and some landscaping, this will be a great asset for the neighborhood and for the city.
And for the city, for certain.
Well, Mrs. Kimball, I have to get going.
Thank you, young man, and I think it's about time for my nap, so
I think
I
you
will
should.
retreat.
Okay.
I'll scoot everyone outside so I
Okay.
can take my nap.
Nice to meet you, and I hope to see you in the future open house.
I hope so too.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye now.
Godspeed.